Have you ever wondered when Halloween started? Halloween, as we know it today, traces its origins back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. This festival marked a pivotal point in the Celtic calendar, celebrating the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. But for the Celts, this was more than just a seasonal shift. Winter was a time associated with death, a chilling reminder of the harshness of nature. Samhain was believed to blur the boundary between the realms of the living and the dead. The Celts held that on the eve of the new year, the veil separating these worlds became thin, allowing spirits to cross over. This belief gave birth to many of the traditions that have been carried on to our modern Halloween celebrations. So, Halloween as we know it has its roots deeply embedded in ancient Celtic traditions. This intriguing beginning sets the stage for the evolution of a holiday that continues to captivate imaginations around the world. But what is the lore that surrounds this eerie celebration? The traditions we associate with Halloween have evolved from a mix of ancient customs and beliefs. In the beginning, our Celtic ancestors lit bonfires, believing that they would ward off ghosts. They were convinced that on the night of October 31st, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. In a bid to protect themselves from these wandering spirits, they donned costumes, often made from animal heads and skins. The aim was to fool these spirits into thinking they were one of their own. As time passed, these pagan practices became intertwined with Christian observances. The Christian Church designated November 1st as All Saints' Day, a time to honor all saints and martyrs. The night before was known as All Hallows' Eve, and later Halloween. They also introduced All Souls' Day on November 2nd, a day to pray for the souls of the dead. These religious observances borrowed from pagan customs and added new traditions. For instance, poor people would visit the houses of wealthier families and receive pastries called soul cakes in return for a promise to pray for the family's dead relatives, a practice that likely evolved into trick or treating. The tradition of carving jack-o'-lanterns, festive gatherings, and donning costumes that we associate with Halloween today all have their roots in these ancient practices and beliefs. In essence, the lore of Halloween is a fascinating blend of ancient pagan practices, Christian observances, and modern-day celebrations. Now you may ask, what countries celebrate this haunting holiday? Well, Halloween is most popular in the United States and Canada, where it has evolved into a celebration of all things spooky. But it's not just a North American phenomenon. Halloween in various forms has spread its spectral wings around the globe. Let's start our global journey in Ireland. Here, Halloween traces its roots back to the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain, marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. The Irish celebrate with bonfires, games and traditional foods like barmbrack, a type of fruitcake that can tell your fortune. Across the Irish Sea in the United Kingdom, Halloween is a time for carving jack-o'-lanterns and trick-or-treating. Children dress up in costumes and go door to door, asking for sweets with the phrase trick or treat. It's a night filled with fun, frights, and an abundance of candy. Meanwhile, in Mexico, Halloween takes on a different form. The Day of the Dead, or Dia de los Muertos, is a multi-day holiday that begins on October 31st. Rather than focusing on scares, the Day of the Dead is a time to honor and celebrate loved ones who have passed away. Families build colorful altars filled with marigolds, sugar skulls, and the favorite foods of the deceased. In other parts of the world, Halloween is a relatively new tradition. From Australia to Japan, people are beginning to embrace this holiday, adding their own unique twists. Whether it's Halloween-themed events, costume parties, or even ghost tours, the spirit of Halloween is alive and well. Despite its varied forms, one thing remains consistent. Halloween is a time when the veil between the living and the dead is believed to be at its thinnest. It's a time to confront our fears, to remember our departed loved ones, and to celebrate the ongoing cycle of life and death. So, whether it's a night of frightful fun or a time to honor those who have passed, Halloween's global celebration is as varied as its history is long. In conclusion, Halloween is more than just a night of costumes and candies. Its origins trace back to ancient Celtic festivals, enriched with lore that has sparked intrigue for centuries. Globally celebrated, Halloween has evolved, intertwining cultures and traditions, enhancing its historical and cultural significance. It's a centuries-old saga filled with tales of spirits and superstitions that has morphed into the beloved holiday we relish today. So the next time you don your costume or carve a pumpkin, remember the rich and fascinating history that makes Halloween the unique celebration it is.